Let's go back to Rajiv Anand, partner at Deloitte Haskins Sells, on what he makes of the comments that have come in from the Prime Minister over the weekend on his radio program Mkt Value on dealing with tax evasion. And today, CBDT member Rani Nair, exclusively on CNBC TV 18, has warned of stringent measures to control the tax evasion menace. Rajiv, what do you expect from here on? There is going to be no extension as far as that compliance window of 30th September is concerned. And now the CBDT is saying pretty much that we are going to come and get you if you evade taxes. What do you expect?
Number one, the deadline, which is 30th September for making the declaration, I think there is adequate period for one and all, whosoever wants to take advantage of this disclosure scheme, so-called, or the amnesty scheme. So I don't think that timing is an issue here. One can only speculate at this point in time, because if you look at the rates, we're talking about an effective rate of 45%, which is pretty high, as compared to, say, the VDIS 1997 rate. That was 30 to 35% only. So if you compare the rates also, I think it's pretty steep. So while there is definitely going to be an increased collection, so as compared to 10,000 crores in VDIS 1997, we can expect 25 to 30,000 crores. But that, I think, is a more realistic figure from my perspective. And the major aspect relating to this issue is the huge rate of 45%. I think that is going to be kind of a challenge in order to attract more and more people.
Yeah, but Rajiv, the government is very clear, and if you look at what Rani Nair told us, the government is concerned about honest taxpayers, and it would be unfair to have them in the same bracket as evaders. So it's unlikely that there's going to be any change on that front.
No, absolutely, and if memory serves me right, I'm not too sure, but in 1997, I think before the Supreme Court, there was a comfort that was given by the government then that they will not come out with another amnesty scheme. So, by levying penalty over and above the tax is probably, to try and bring it out of the amnesty scheme concept. And I do agree that there is a discrimination otherwise between honest taxpayers and tax evaders, so-called. But the question ultimately is, would people be willing to pay 45%? I do believe that we will have more and more people joining this particular scheme, but I don't think that the target, whatever the target that the government has in mind, is likely to be met, especially if it is around 50,000 crores. I think that might be a challenge this time as well.
That might be a challenge. But also, Rajiv, the government now, or the CBDT specifically, trying to use Project Insight, where it has access to third-party data on high-value transactions, to, in that sense, go after evaders. Do you see that as being at least a successful effort?
Oh yes. I mean, one is, of course, trying to computerize everything, trying to collect as much information from the market, and then trying to issue notices to people who have been spending a lot of money but have not been filing taxes or paying taxes. It's definitely a commendable effort. And if I look at companies from payer perspective, as withholding taxes, the government is very serious about making sure that companies comply with the law. So in the overall scheme of things, I think there is full commitment, so far as the government is concerned, to go after tax evaders. This is the last scheme, as the government is also saying. One can only hope that more and more people join. But at the end of the day, keeping in mind what our Prime Minister also said, that hamari aadat hai not to comply with the laws of the land, not to pay taxes, that's not going to go away, in the next 3 months. I think that's the limited challenge that we have. Yeah.
My final question to you, Rajiv, the Standing Committee of Finance has submitted its report on the Benami Transactions Prohibition Bill, and the member CBDT on CNBC TV 18 also saying that if going forward we find that properties are Benami under the new bill, they will stand to be confiscated. So, what do you anticipate on that front, given the fact that the government is hoping to push it through in the monsoon session?
I think that is, again, something which will take time to make an impact in the Indian economy, because the structures that we have in India are pretty complex. But then, like I said, we now, the government is proceeding towards having relevant laws, and once those laws are in place, things can only go better from there. So I think once it becomes law, it's a matter of time that the government is able to make an impact there also.
All right, Rajiv, we'll have to leave it there. Appreciate you joining us with those details. Rajiv Anand there of Deloitte. Now, coming